Oops, they did it again. Yes, they failed to get a win. But you know who else lost today? The Mariners. Thank you, guys. We'll be seeing y'all in the second half. We're going to talk about this and what a week of rest will do for the Houston Astros going into the second half. Let's go.
Jainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Thank you for making us part of your daily routine, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and hit that little red button down there that says subscribe. Make us part of your daily routine on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. Become an everydayer. Somebody listens to our podcast every day. We do appreciate you. And this episode of the Locked On Astros podcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city except for Dallas, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Brett, this was a rough series. The Astros should have won this, but it's baseball. No matter what team you play, no matter how many no matter if you out-hit the team, sometimes baseball is going to baseball.
Yeah, that's right. I knew you were going to say that. Very, very, very cliche of you, Eric. Look, man, I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You know where to find me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at H-Town Wheelhouse. You can find me at Stros411 on Xbook and on Xface. I'm joking. On Facebook and on X. You can also find me at Back to the Bullpen on YouTube, on Instagram, and on X as well. Yeah, man, dude, we had our second live show last night. We had a lot of people show up. That was kind of fun. Mike Stanton shared a lot of things, just a lot of key things that, the Astros need to do down the stretch. But, Eric, this is a series that the Astros could have easily swept. I mean, the Rangers did not beat the brakes off the Astros. The Astros bats just went quiet into the night. And I think a week of rest and being able to maintain only under, behind by one game and still over 500 is quite an accomplishment for a team that started out 7-19.
And Matthew brings up, let's be honest, we're not elite like we used to be. It sucks. Well, this team is not elite, but this team has battled back from a lot of injuries this year, a lot of players being out, and a lot of poor performances. We're seeing them kind of turn around a little bit. And the fact that they are where they are, considering that they started 6-19 on the season, and they now are 4 games over 500. So that means something. The fact that they are only 1 game behind the Mariners, when I think at one point they were 10 games behind them. And so Mariners fans are definitely worrying about this. They're worrying about the Astros. Like, here they come again. And I believe that we are in the same point we were last year. Last year, though, it was the Rangers. This year, it's the Mariners. So definitely the Angels, they kind of took me off guard. I didn't think that they would be sweeping the Mariners, but I don't think a lot of people saw the Rangers sweeping. Not sweeping, but just winning 2 out of 3 games from the Astros. But they're close games. Today's game was a little bit closer than it will appear. I know it was a 4-2 victory, but it was 2-1 for most of the game until that 2-run homer late in the game. Right. And there's a lot of good pitching in this series. And starting pitching, it wasn't starting pitching's fault. Ronel Blanco did a great job. Spencer Aggetti, he was on fire. He had one of his best starts as Astro. I mean, I know the 10 strikeout game, but he looked like he was a starter to be reckoned with. And it just seemed like in Saturday's game, there's a lot of bad calls, and there's a lot of missed calls at first base where they had to challenge. And so there's just a lot of stuff that the Rangers actually stranded a lot of runners in scoring position on Saturday, but they somehow in extra innings came out of it. And I hate the fact that Taylor Scott is normally the guy in the 10th inning that gets cradled with the loss, because he's been pitching so well this year, but it just unfortunately in that situation, he gets straddled with that loss. I thought you were saying something.
No. Yeah, I mean, but right now wins and losses is not where I'm at all hanging my hat. I mean, the guy's 6-3, right? But he's got a 1.36 ERA. I think deserves every bit of an all-star nod, but he didn't get it. You mentioned Saturday's game. The Astros are actually 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And oh, by the way, the Mariners did not get swept by the Angels. They actually won the first game mightily, like 13-0. So
Okay.
it would have been not now. Had they been swept, we would have only been a half game behind instead of a full game. But today's game, you mentioned yesterday. I said they were 2 for 9 Saturday with runners in scoring position. Today they were 0 for 9, so they were 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position with 17 runners left on base. And I saw a lot of people pointing fingers to Montero. Okay, Montero is the new Jose Abreu of the team. Wow, that's a scathing review. And there was something there was a line I was trying to follow because it looked to me like a lot of people in the social media world were putting this all on Espada and his move with Montero, to which I made this argument on X. I want to share this with y'all. I put, there's a lot of talk and I'll break it down. Basically, you could have put Bugs Bunny out there on the mound. It wouldn't have mattered. The offense failed. Okay. The Astros are still above 500. The Mariners did lose, but to put this completely on Joe Espada, I think is absurd. Now look at the response under me. A guy named Houston Rob. He said it's never binary. Yes, they could have hit with runner scoring position the last 2 days, and that's the primary reason they lost. But you don't hit with runner scoring position every game. No team does. People complain rightfully, but using Montero there because it's bad and willful, it's a controllable decision. And I thought about that. Eric, sometimes the most unprofound things when they're said and when they're said out loud are profound. He's correct. That is the one aspect of the game that the Houston Astros did have control over. Who do we put in down 1 run in this game? And I would contend, after looking at it and looking into this a little bit deeper, Montero sitting 6 or 7 days in a row and having been hit around a lot lately, putting him in that spot before you go to an all-star break, when you have Presley, who has been nails. Presley has been the lights out guy. I know you may have used him the night before or whatever, but that Montero move is something that really bit them in the butt. And maybe if it's still 2-1, maybe things are different. You still got to hit, but that was just a profound thing I wanted to share with y'all because I love the point that guy made on X.
And I know that technically Lil Perfido got the RBI on the fly out, so a sacrifice fly. So it doesn't count as a hit with runners in scoring position, but they were 0 for 9 today with runners scoring position, and they were 4 for 25 in this whole series.
Oh, in the whole series, yeah, because of what they were like 2 for 18, but 4 for 25. That's not any better. But the first game, they scored like 8 or 9 runs. I mean, look, even with Scherzer having the game he had, but Eric, you can't load the bases and then have Dubon.
That was a bad at bat by Dubon. He struck out. He swung out of the
battle, but
issues.
But I just, when you have Dubon, when you have Altuve and Bregman, you got a 1-3 chance at least,
right?
And there were some key situations late in games. Look, Jose Altuve. Now, you didn't swing at the ball in the dirt off the plate. I commend you for that. But can we see at least one pitch with the new relief pitcher? Can we not go out 2 straight outs with 2 pitches? That's not good baseball. Late in the game, when you're trying to manufacture runs, you got to at least see a pitch or 2. You can't just hit every single ball on the button the very first pitch, especially when it's a new guy. Because what if he throws that pitch and it's a fastball and it's way out of the zone? You're like, okay, this guy has no command. You're like, maybe I can watch another pitch. Give yourself some chances to see pitches before you just go full all in. That's something Jose's been one of the best hitters, but that's something I hope they adjust slowly over the second half, because I think that'll help them in the end.
Yes, and I did get it wrong earlier. I said 6-19 start. It was actually 7-19 start. But now they are where they are at 50 and 46. So they've done wonders. They've been on a impressive streak, and no team has been as hot as your Houston Astros. Unfortunately, their kind of cold streak kind of came at the end right before the break, and against a team that is a rival. It's somebody that's going to be competing for the division possibly at the end of the year. And now the series is tied 5-5. You need that tiebreaker. So if something happens AL West, you got to have that tiebreaker. And so that's something that we'll talk about in a second. The starters haven't impressed. What did Ronel Blanco do? And we'll continue this conversation next.
With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities, Boston, New York, L.A., Seattle, Chicago. Wherever it is you want to go, they have a deal for you. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your rival team's city. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today at Booking.com, on the site or on the app. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. And this episode is also brought to you by SupplyHouse. Let me tell you about SupplyHouse. It is a great tool. My father is he's a licensed electrician, and this is something I've shared with him, and he absolutely loves it. They are for your plumbers, HVAC, and electrical pros online. It's this easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources, the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts for your 400 top brands, and so much more. Get expert support, industry-leading service, and the friendliest folks in the business to talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades get a competitive edge by joining the SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, to free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join thousands of pros already benefiting this. Go to SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from everywhere, just a few clicks away at SupplyHouse.com.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Become a everyday or somebody listens to our podcast every day. Go and check out Michael Connor on the Locked On Astros podcast as well. He does a great job, and we're part of a Locked On Astros community. We welcome you, and go and hop aboard. So, Brett, before the break, we were talking about risk issues. This is something that has been haunting the Astros all season. Starting pitching has been an issue at times. I feel like they are still short a starter. I know that Justin Verlander threw off the mound, and he threw 25 pitches, and this is a positive step in the right direction. So Justin Verlander may be on the way back. They're not going to rush him or anything, but it was a good step, and so we'll see what happens there. But we know that they're being very cautious right now with Luis Garcia. He is they've shut him down. They're being very cautious with him, and also Lance McCullers. They're going to send him to. Actually, they sent him to get a second opinion, and we've just decided to just give him time to heal, and we can't push him. And he maybe, possibly can contribute out of bullpen in September. He didn't add all the maybes. I added the maybes.
Yeah,
but there was a chance. He also said that Ledmus Diaz, they want to give him some bats at AAA, and there's a chance that he could get some bats be with the team at some point in the second half.
Well, look, I mean, I guess he would take Kessinger's spot. He's not taking Dubon's spot because Dubon is the utility man. Diaz is oft injured. I think he offers some leadership, probably to guys that are in AAA. But this is what's interesting, Eric. I don't know if you know this. We're talking about runners and scoring position issues, okay? Where do you think the Astros rank in all of baseball with batting average with runners and scoring position?
I've looked this up several times. They're in the middle of the pack. I think 10th or 11th.
They're first.
They're first?
They're first. They're hitting with runners in scoring position Okay. It says team average of the run scoring position 263.
Okay.
So I was shocked at that. I was like, I had to double check.
I think that's because they've been scoring a lot recently. So
I know, but I'm just saying, like, this is the illusion. They have the highest average with runners scoring position, but doesn't mean they score the most runs with runners in scoring position. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so that's what has been a mystery with this team. And I think a week of rest, I think getting Kyle Tucker back, I think, Jose Altuve absolutely needs a week of rest. I mean, this dude's been, even though he didn't really produce a whole lot this weekend, he's really been one of their better hitters. Someone here, I think Chris said, he is the offensive MVP this year so far in the first half. What are you shaking your head for?
I don't know what you're looking at, but I'm looking at MLB and I'm seeing that the Astros have a 272 batting average and they're 8th. And Royals have the best batting average in scoring position at 290.
Oh, really?
And the Diamondbacks are at 280. The Rangers are at 277. Padres at 276.
Well, then you can chalk it up to StatMuse being 100% incorrect because
maybe it's with 2 outs or something like that. There's got to be some type of caveat.
No, this just says this is team average with runners in scoring position for 2024. I don't know. Look, man. I'm just telling you. This is what they're showing. The Astros at 263. Now, anyways, the point is whether they're first or 10th, they didn't get the job done this series. I mean, that really is the point. And we know, and you and I have talked about ad nauseum, how the runners in scoring position thing was key. In manufacturing runs is what they need to do. Small ball. They should have done that today. When Eovaldi was giving up hit after hit in the first inning, you should have put up more than one run. You should have if you put a crooked number up in game 2, you win that game. And today would be the rubber game of who wins. You know what I'm saying? And then if you win today, you know what? You're a full game up on Seattle. And
no, you've been tied. You would have been tied,
but you would have been up on percentage points. You would have been percentage points in first, but you would have been on top of them, you know? And look, everybody's upset about this series. Oh, we're going back to our old ways. No, it's the Rangers. They're one-hit wonders. They're not going back to the playoffs. They're not going to see another World Series.
This team just beat us twice, Brett.
Eric, they didn't. They barely beat us. They beat us 2-1 and 4-2. They barely beat us without Kyle Tucker. They barely beat us on 3 hits. That is not getting beat. That is just not executing. Right. I'm sorry. The Rangers are frauds. Okay, the Rangers are frauds. They're not going to make the playoffs. If the Rangers make the playoffs, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Seriously, let's make a bet right now. The Rangers aren't making the playoffs. I didn't say
they were, but I'm just not. I'm not going to say they're frauds or anything right now.
They are frauds.
They're not they're not the best team out there, but
no. Adolis Garcia said they're going to win back-to-back champs.
Right.
They have not competed at all for first place. The Mariners have been hitting over their abilities lately, and that's why they're winning.
Because they have to. The Astros are right behind them. Yeah.
I know. And their pitching is not going to perform like it did in the first half. So mark my words, the Astros take command of the AOS by the second week out of the All-Star break. And I don't think they relinquish it the rest of the season. I don't believe in the Rangers. They're not going back. They have financial problems. And they beat us in the series. The Lone Star Boot series, whatever it's called, is tied. Who cares? Okay. We need to avenge our name and go back to the playoffs. And if we got to play the Rangers in the playoffs and they do make it by some miracle, we got to beat their you-know-whats because they made us look bad in the playoffs. That is when they beat us. They beat our AWS in the game 6 and game 7. That was a beating. What they did today was we laid down. We basically gave it to them. That was a cotton candy soft series win. It was a series win, but it wasn't a command. It wasn't like, oh man, they got our number.
Yeah, dude. I never said that. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because what matters is if this is a tight division come October and the Astros are tied with one of these teams and one of these teams has a tiebreaker, it doesn't matter. If it was a tight win or whatever, it just matters. Wins mean something, and the Astros just didn't do the job in this series. So we'll go and continue this conversation. The pitching did do its job. We'll go and talk about the All-Star break, and the draft starts today. The Astros, how many picks do they have? Do they have some picks in the first round? Yes, but do they have one in the second round? We'll discuss this next.
This episode is brought to you by GameTime. GameTime is an amazing app. I use it for every game I go to. Look, I'm going to the Astros and Dodgers game. I didn't have to get my ticket already, but I wanted to. But you can wait till the day of the game to get it. Right now, if you use the code LOCKEDONMLB, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. For one of the best and most flexible customer service policies, you want to go there. If you want to know all-in-one pricing, and when you, like, before you get to checkout, there's no bait and switch. They're easy to find, easy to use. 2 taps and you're there. They're in your phone. Zone deals, flash deals. And look, if you get a seat and you get a ticket and you buy it, and then you go to another site and just happen to check out that same row in that same section, and you find a cheaper ticket on another site, let them know. They will credit you 110% the difference, so that you have more money to do more things. So GameTime app is amazing. Download it. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Hit that little red button down there. Make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. Become part of the Locked On Astros Nation. Go and check out Michael Connor on the Locked On Astros podcast as well. And go in and watch us both on your Amazon Fire TV stick. It's great. Just go and search the free channel app. You can just search baseball Astros. You can find us, Brett, up on your big screen there. So yes, so this series was definitely a interesting series. It was it felt like a playoff series. It felt like definitely these two teams don't like each other. There's a lot of
not at all.
A lot of missed calls by the umpires, definitely at first base and Saturday's game.
Got hit in the first game.
Yeah.
You know,
right. Yeah. So there's a lot of bad blood between.
Not that I'm cheering that. Not that I'm saying I'm okay with it. I'm just, when it happened, I was like, oh crap, this is gonna turn into one of those series. Luckily, it didn't turn into the Orioles and Yankees series. That was brutal. But yeah, man. So yeah, look, man, there's a lot of tension, Eric. But I think it's good for the division. I think it's good for baseball. And look, yeah. I call the Rangers frauds. Now, does that mean I think they're dead in the water? No, but they haven't shown me anything. I mean, they could turn it around second half, kind of like we have in this first half. You made a valid point. This is a tight division, but I think once the Astros get in front, I don't see them relinquishing it. And I think this will catapult a move from Dana Brown getting somebody sooner rather than later, because we don't have that much time after the All-Star break to get this trade deadline over with.
Yes, definitely. And I know that Ronel Blanco, he is the key of, I need some rest, and the All-Star break is good for him. And he went out there, pitched great today. He I know he didn't pitch a shutout or anything, but 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. His ERA is 2.56 on the season. He's 9-4, and it's just what he's done. He's basically come as somebody that was not on the radar for any Astros fan. Yeah. And he's come out because Dana Brown basically said, oh, I see this guy as a future starter, and that they kind of set this path forward. And now we are where we are. And Joe Spada said he's been one of our best starters in the first half. We would not be in this position if not for the job that he's done. But here's what Dana Brown needs to do. He's got to get another starter because you've got to put somebody in there. You can't count on Luis Garcia at this point. You can't count on Lance McCullers and Spencer Arrighetti. He's going to reach the innings limit at some point. And Jake Bloss is, if he can only go 4 or 5 innings, I know that he's eventually going to get stretched out, but Sean Dubin, he's back in the bullpen. So the Astros need some help in the rotation, mostly for Ronel Blanco, because hopefully he's not the number 1 starter out of the All-Star break. Does he deserve it? Yes. But he needs some time to rest. They need to not have him pitch right away. Give him some time to not build up so many innings so he can pitch into the postseason.
Well, I think they would keep the same order, because if he pitched today, he wouldn't be due up until after the Mariners series. You know what I'm saying? Even with the week off, I would think.
No, they typically rearrange it anyway. So like if Valdez is the ace, so to speak, he would go first if he was not pitching.
Right. So. But what I'm saying is with all those concerns, you don't necessarily have to have him go out there, right away, and look, the Astros play really well in Seattle. So Eric, you had mentioned the draft. The Astros have the 28th pick in the draft. The draft is going on right now. They're only through pick number 7. But the very first overall pick was a kid that grew up in Australia, picked by the Guardians, Travis Bazana, who is a second baseman out of Oregon State. This kid has got a lot of tools. He's an excellent player. And I don't know a ton about a lot of these draft picks this year. I haven't heard the hype like it did in last year's draft. But speaking of rookies, Eric, and speaking of draft picks, Paul Skeens is starting for the National League as a rookie. And I mean, his impressive 8-0 at the All-Star break, 91 or 90 strikeouts and like 88 innings. I mean, or 82 innings with the 1.69 ERA. This guy fits the bill. And if the Pirates can hold on to him, because that's what a lot of Pirates fans are like, oh, he's going to be the next Garrett Cole or the next Joe Musgrove. He's going to do great, and then he's going to go somewhere else. But Paul Skeens deserves it, man. And I believe I've heard Chris Sale is possibly starting for the American League. I hadn't heard a decision, but earlier they were speculating.
He pitches for the Braves.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. He pitches for the Braves. That's right. Have we heard who the American League person is?
No, but Tariq Skubal is the guy that I think they may go with, but I don't know if it's been totally announced yet. But Skeens, this is only his second year of pitching exclusively because he was a two-way player. And so when the Pirates drafted him, they're like, yeah, we just want you to focus as a pitcher. And so he was hitting home runs in college. And so could basically be a Shohei Ohtani type player, but I don't think hardly anybody could do that like Ohtani does. So I think that the Pirates were right to say, hey, we want you to focus on pitching. And so I think that's what he did. And he's good for baseball. You need somebody with this excitement. And he goes out, and I think in his last start, he was through 6 or 7 innings at a certain pitch count, and they took him out of a no-hitter. And so this is something that they know that he's a young budding ace, but at the same time, they're watching the pitch count. And that's what the Astros have to do with Spencer Arrighetti. But Spencer Arrighetti, he had another good start. And I know he's had some clunkers recently, but this was a good start. I'm trying to find the actual stats, but he was 6 innings, 2 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. So you can say a lot about this series. It was not because of the starting pitching. Arrighetti did good, and Farmer pitched Friday, right?
Yeah.
And so the starting pitching.
The starting pitching, Eric, has, and look, baseball is a team sport. And if the pitching is going well, the hitting has to back you up. And Jake Myers took advantage of a fastball, one of the few fastballs that Max Scherzer's thrown all season. He's gone away from his fastball. He's gone almost all breaking pitches, aging pitcher. and he hit it off the foul pole. Hey, you know what that means? If you're listening on Monday, you get free Chick-fil-A. So everybody gets something free from Chick-fil-A because they hit the Chick-fil-A foul pole. So there you go. Compliments of Mr. Jake Myers. At the end of the day, if the Rangers are going to make a move, it's going to be very dependent on guys like Josh Smith doing what he did today. Adolis Garcia is going to have to come out of the cellar because he's hit a lot of home runs, but he is swinging and missing a lot. They can't just depend on Seager. Seager's having a good year, but not the great year he had. And the problem, I think, for the Rangers, Eric, is they're not replicating their offense from last year. They're just not. They're scoring 2 or 3 runs less per game. And they had a quote-unquote perfect year, kind of like the Astros in 2022. Everything was working, hitting, pitching, relief pitching, starting pitching. It didn't matter. It all worked, right?
It was Hunter Brown that pitched on Friday because I just remembered he had that great quote because he's like, yeah, I pitched and this meant a lot because it was the Rangers that knocked us out of the playoffs last year. So this game meant a lot for me. And so, yeah, I totally forgot that Hunter Brown, but he pitched 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So if you add up the hits, that's 9 hits by the starting pitchers in this series, 3 starts and 18 innings. That's not bad. And 2 of those games were only 2 hits allowed by the starting pitchers. So,
well, hey, Fromber's last start was against the Marlins. He did have 10 strikeouts and 7 innings pitched. He was only the second Astros pitcher to get 10 strikeouts or more. Him and Eric Getty are the only 2 pitchers to do it.
He did pitch good. I just didn't remember when he pitched.
It's all good. Yeah. Dude, it's been a crazy week, man. It's been a crazy week. So we know there's probably some of y'all that still don't have lights and electricity. We're praying for you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's been a great show, Eric.
Yeah. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and talk All-Star, maybe All-Star history at the Astros, and go ahead and look at who's going to the All-Star game. I think it's just Alvarez. And we'll just go ahead and just talk about our favorite All-Star memories and just have a fun show tomorrow. So, guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brett Chancey, and we will see you tomorrow. Go Astros.
Go Astros. Yeah, I think the reason why I said that thing about